Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today was one of the best, if not the best, midweek action of SEC basketball we've had all year, maybe ever. This was just top to bottom, hands down, so fun to watch. Every single game, down to the wire, insane comebacks, insane performances from multiple players. Just an insane day in college hoops, especially in the SEC. Before I get started with the full reaction, I just want to say please subscribe to Random SEC. We are doing great on all social medias, whether it be X, whether it be Instagram, whether it be TikTok. We're doing fantastic there, but we're still trying to grow this YouTube channel. And the way you could help with that is by subscribing and liking and commenting. So doing all that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and let's go ahead and get into this, starting with the game of the year question mark. I think so. It was Arkansas, it was Alabama, it was double overtime, and Arkansas cannot finish it. Alabama gets the best of the Razorbacks, 117 to 115. Okay, I need to start with this game. This was a great game. Game of the year. Game of the year. There was questionable officiating, yes. I think Arkansas got the worst end of the calls. I think that Arkansas is better than Alabama. But getting out of the way, this was a great game. Arkansas coming into this game, not healthy, right? You're missing Carter Knox. You're missing Isaiah Sealy. You come into this game with 7 guys, and you're like, if you're Alabama, you're like, well, let's attack those guys. Let's get them into foul trouble. And that's exactly what they did. You know, what be it, the calls may have been a little shady, a little testy, but you go into double overtime, and Arkansas has to play 2 quote-unquote walk-ons. Now, obviously, you can't really have walk-ons nowadays, but they are the equivalent of walk-ons, and they had 2 of them playing at one point in this game, one of them playing for a long time. So that just goes to show you that, in my opinion, the fact that Arkansas even kept it this close was very, very telling about how elite of a team they are. They keep this game within 2, and before I get into Darius Acuff, he's next. Just a fantastic performance by Alabama, and LeBaron Philon, 35 points for LeBaron Philon. And he's a guy that people have said, you can't show up in big games, LeBaron. You can't execute when you're going against elite competition. And you did today against Darius Acuff against Arkansas. And boy, oh boy, were you the guy that Alabama leaned on. Top to bottom, LeBaron Philon found his way, and he was best in the clutch, and that's exactly what you want. Alabama, a team that people just have said, this team's too inconsistent. They're not going to be a team that is elite in March, can make a run like they have been. It's more of a down year for Nate Oates and his team. This team continues to prevail. And today was a great representation of that. Alabama came into this game, and they were down big in this game, but they continue to play their game. Nate Oates continues to play his style of basketball. They're going to live, they're going to die by it. And today, they thrived by it. The threes, the driving to the lane. This was a game you knew Arkansas was going to be, down defensively because of the injuries and all of that. And you took advantage of that, and you just drived in on him. And that's exactly what you like to see if you're Nate Oates, if you're an Alabama fan. Great win for Alabama. Great win. Great win for your tournament hope, for your tournament seeding, but also just a great win as far as confidence, because you haven't really gotten that big win against a big team. Arkansas is a great team, and you came into this game, and it took every single bit of effort, but you came out with a win at home. Just an electric game. And a great win for Alabama. And you can't really say too much more for them. As for Arkansas, I'm not mad about that loss. I'm not mad at all. You came into that game on the road, down 2 players, down with all that foul trouble, and you still make that game that type of game, despite all the controversy, despite all the calls, and you still make that game where it's either way. Let's be honest, guys. This was a game that, while played today, this was a game that was either team, right? They were evenly matched today on the court. Alabama comes up with the win. It was huge. It was at home. But that was just the game of the year, and you don't get too many games like those. So if you didn't catch it, I highly encourage you to watch the highlights at least, because man, oh man, it was just back and forth. LeBaron Philon, Darius Acuff battling, and Darius Acuff the guy, the man of the hour, despite the loss. Uh, it wouldn't be fitting to not talk about him. So let's go ahead and talk about him. Darius Acuff. He's a guy that we've all, highlighted all season. He's a guy that's feels like he hasn't got the national spotlight as much as he needs to. Right? This is an insane freshman class, one of the best ever. And it just feels like Darius Acuff hasn't gotten the representation, the recognition that he deserves. Tonight, he had 49 points in 50 minutes of play. Darius Acuff was not taken out of the game once. Not once was he taken out of this game. 49 points. That is unheard of, guys. That is an elite performance. Darius Acuff, in my opinion, is PG1 in this draft class. But not only that, I think he may be the most talented player in this draft class. And he showed it tonight. Him and LeBaron Philon went, mano a mano, just down to the hill. Like, just the thing about Darius Acuff is that he gets to the rim, but he can also shoot the three. And we really haven't seen that from a elite prospect, like especially a Cal guard. They're either great at driving it and getting to the hill and defensively and all that, or they're great at shooting threes like Tyler Hero. Darius Acuff is good at all of those things. And yes, Darius Acuff's legendary game was taken away by the refs. Again, I agree with that. But at the end of the day, it sucks. The officiating was the way it was. Doug Shows is going to be how he's going to be. But at the end of the day, I'm not mad about that loss for Arkansas. And yeah, you're probably not going to win the SEC championship, but I'm not mad at that because you did everything you could do. And at the end of the day, when it's a game like that, sometimes you just don't come out with the win. And that's what happened. And, obviously, you want to come out with every win. But that was a game. And if you can play like this, Arkansas, if you can play like this, Alabama, there's very few teams that can take you down in March. What I saw today was that Arkansas can very much so make a deep run in March Madness. I saw that today. I've known it for a while. I thought they could, but today, just the way they kept responding, and while they did not come out with the win, yes, this is the team that can make a deep run in March Madness. But Darius Acuff, what an absolute fantastic game, and he's finally getting some of the clout he deserves because dude is insane. Dude is the best player in the SEC by far, SEC Player of the Year, hands down. The dude is finally getting the recognition he deserves. He wasn't the only one who had a great game. Malik Thomas, also the other freshman for Arkansas, had a fantastic game. But Darius Acuff is the truth. Darius Acuff is one of the best players I've ever seen play basketball. He's probably the best player I've ever seen play for Arkansas. Yes, Darius Acuff, and he's going to continue to ball out. I have no doubt about it. And honestly, the thing about Darius Acuff is that he's consistent. There's not one game in this year where he hasn't been great. And that's saying something because there are players in college basketball and top prospects that are great, but are just a little inconsistent. Thank you so much, Buildesland Troll Posts, for the subscription. And yes, at least he can put up 50 on Missouri. I hope so. Arkansas, it's a tough loss. It's a very tough loss. Can you come back? Can you rebound and go back home and play Missouri and get them up? So Alabama, same thing. Can you come back after a hot, high horse win and get some more victories? And yes, Darius Acuff is the truth. And I'm going to move on here to the Texas A&M taking on Ole Miss in Aggie Land, and this was a game that Texas A&M needed. They've dropped 4 in a row, and it was a game that, it felt like people have gotten the book out on the Aggies, right? They started off hot, Bucky McMillan, Bucky Ball, no one could stop them, but now it feels like people's gotten the book out of them. And early in this game, that's exactly how it felt. You thought, wow, Ole Miss coming out hot. Finally, they're going to get it done. That was not the case. Texas A&M storms back in the final 5 minutes of this game, and it was just a game they very, very much needed. Like, when I tell you that if you lose this game, the chances of you spiraling out of control and finding a way to miss the tournament, those are very, very high. Now A&M is sitting comfortably in. You'd still like a little more, still a little bit more work to be done, but there is definitely little doubt that Texas A&M will be dancing in March Madness. But Texas A&M, once again, it's the same thing every time you win, and I talk about it. You have 10 to 15 guys that you can lean on that can give you valuable minutes for Texas A&M, and you just have a lot of role players that are key players. Roberto Dominguez or Zach Clements, Marcus Hill, like all those three guys by themselves, while they may not be the most elite players, can give you valuable minutes, can give you valuable play time, can give you valuable points. For A&M, this was a game that I feel like was a confidence booster. The 4 losses in a row for A&M, I think, were very, very, kind of fool's gold, as in I think they're a better team than that. They lost that one on the road to Alabama by 3 points. It was a great game. I think that one was the one that, the floodgates kind of broke through and they lost 4 in a row. Now, you got to win under your belt again. Can you get that little bit of swagger back? Can you get that little bit of, we are still A&M. We are still buckyball. We are still going to play great basketball. Can you get that back? I think you can. I am really high on Texas A&M. I don't think they're elite, but I do think they're a really good team. Today was a great performance of that, and you showed a way to come back at home for your home crowd. Like we say in February, you're building qualities for March. And Texas A&M, you built that comeback quality because we haven't really seen that too much from Texas A&M, but we saw it today, and that's exactly what you needed. Texas A&M 80, Ole Miss 77, and that was about it for that game. And Tennessee absolutely rolls against the Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma made a late comeback in this game. Gonna go quick through this game because there wasn't really too much to talk about. But yeah, Oklahoma made a quick late comeback in this game, and it was a game that Oklahoma needed, as far as they were kind of hot coming into this game, right? They won 3 in a row. Tennessee, you have also been hot, but can you just settle down, play your kind of basketball? Give it to Nate Ament, give it to Jacoby Gillespie. That's exactly what they did, guys. This is a Rick Barnes game. You didn't have to worry about it if you're a Tennessee fan. Despite the late surge by Oklahoma, Tennessee just absolutely rolls 89-66. And Nate Ament, a guy who just continues to get better and better and better and better as the year goes on. And that's exactly what you want to see from a prospect. That's exactly what you want to see if you're Tennessee heading into March Madness. That's exactly the type of win you needed if you're Tennessee. And I believe that is a quad 1 win. So pretty big for the resume. It may be quad 2, but quad 1 win. Great win for the Volunteers. And moving on to Auburn, Mississippi State. Mississippi State pulls us 191-85 out. Auburn, what happened? Right? Just a couple of weeks ago, you were sitting comfortably in this tournament. And you are still kind of in now, but man, oh man, you've just found your way on the bubble. This was a game you could not lose. You could not lose with the upcoming schedule, with the games you've lost already. And this is just a totally different Auburn team than the one we saw at the beginning of the year. And that's never a good sign, to be digressing, to be, going down as the season goes on. I question Coach Stephen Pearl's, discipline, whether the guys are even bought in at this point. And I've said it once and I've said it again. If Stephen Pearl does not make the tournament with this team, with this roster, it's a severe disappointment. Now, I don't want to say he should be fired, but he may. Like, I genuinely, what you got from Bruce Pearl on the staff, and you can't tell me you didn't have a slight notion that you may be the head coach of the Auburn Tigers this year. You can't tell me that. This is a pitiful performance for Auburn, a pitiful season. But the fact of the matter is, you have the number 1 strength of schedule, meaning you have a lot of chances, and that you right now are pretty decently, in a decent position as far as NCAA tournament. But the way you've been playing, I'm telling you, you're not going to make it in. If you continue to play like this, you're not going to make it in. And Mississippi State is a team that is, they're all right. But like I said, this is a game you need as a team kind of on the bubble. Now you're officially on the bubble. Now you're a team that you need every win coming out. I just can't stress you enough. This is so embarrassing for Auburn. You finally get Keyshawn Hall back, but right now it just feels like Stephen Pearl doesn't have a command on this team. At some point in this game, it was an absolute blowout. Mississippi State was routing Auburn. And granted, Auburn comes back, But when you come back, you got to keep surging and you got to find a way to win. And that did not happen. That did not happen. And the story for Mississippi State, a team that has been struggling an up and down year, can you find a way maybe to, I don't know, get on a run in the NCAA SEC tournament and sneak your way in? I don't know. But if Josh Hubbard continues to ball out like he did today, dropping 46 points, then by golly, there's a chance. 46 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists for Josh Hubbard. And guys, like whether Mississippi State's winning, whether they're losing, I just feel like Josh Hubbard's always there and he's always balling and he's so consistent. And he's a guy that I think is going to have a long tenured career in the NBA. He's a stud. He's a stud, and he's exactly what Mississippi State has leaned on for the past 3 years. And it's just been so fun to watch him. And if this is his last year, just an absolute blessing to watch this guy ball. 46 points, guys. 46 points. That's an elite performance. I cannot tell you how many times Josh Hubbard has just delivered at this rate. And granted, Mississippi State doesn't have all the pieces, but if they have one thing, it's Josh Hubbard, and he will always ball. And he balled today. And what a performance from Josh Hubbard. All props to you. You are a absolute baller, and you should at least get some reward at the end of this season for the SEC. I don't know what it would be, but he just, like, the fact that he is so consistent despite his team's shortcomings, like, I cannot say enough about Josh Hubbard, one of my favorite players in the conference. All right, the final game that I have to get to today, Missouri and Vanderbilt. Now, this was a fantastic game. Missouri had control of it most of the way, but at the end, Vanderbilt made a surging comeback similar to the one they made against Oklahoma. And at the end of the game, guys, wow. Missouri tried to choke that as much as they could. Vanderbilt got a last-second half-court heave, Tyler Tanner, and that thing looked like it was going in. And I was like, if I'm Missouri, because Missouri needed this win, and they're going to need a lot more wins. They are the team that is on the mostly on the bubble right now. You lost against Texas, and that was a game you kind of needed. You still have a path to the tournament, though, and that's as much as you can ask for. You control your own destiny, Missouri, and you continue to play like this consistently. There's definitely a path for you to find your way into the NCAA tournament. What I think you have to do is win 3 or 4 of these games, coming up. And if that maybe even win 1 or 2 in the SEC tournament, I think Missouri has the ability to do that. But can you stay consistent? Because it feels like whenever you get a marquee win like this, you did it against last week against Texas A&M on the road, then you kind of just revert back and fall short again. Can you not do that if you're Missouri? That's what we're going to have to see from Dennis Gates' squad. Just be a little more consistent. And they do have ballers, though. I mean, Stone, Barrett, Mark Mitchell. I mean, the list goes on. Missouri's a good team. But can you remain consistent? And that's kind of the story for every bubble team, right? But especially Missouri. You got to stay consistent, and you got to find ways to win if you are going to be a team that can find your way into March Madness. And I feel like when Missouri is clicking, if they find a way to make it into the tournament, they can definitely do some damage. They're a team that is very, very good. And you go on the road to Arkansas. Can you calm the storm? Arkansas, I feel like maybe starting off a little sluggish in this upcoming game just because, heartbreaking loss, double overtime, all that, maybe a little tired. Can you come out to the game and start fast? I think that's going to be the key, to start fast and then, see where it goes from there. But you can't afford to be inconsistent. You have 3 games left: Tennessee, Mississippi State. You have 5 games left: Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. You got to win Mississippi State. You got to win one of the games against Arkansas. You got to beat Tennessee, and you definitely got to beat Oklahoma. So there's definitely a path for Missouri. And I would say I would lean, if you can stay consistent, I would definitely bet on this Missouri team making it into the dance. But Vanderbilt, it's a rough game. It's tough to play a team that really needs a win, back against the wall, really needs a win. It seems like that's the story this year. When that happens, those teams usually find a way to win, barring it be Florida. But Vanderbilt, I'm not really worried about you too much. You continue to compete. And there really hasn't been a game besides that Arkansas game where you have not been in the game. Like, I'm not worried about Vanderbilt. I'm not worried about Vanderbilt at all. Tyler Tanner looked great, and you almost surmounted that comeback. It was the same thing against OU where you made a insane comeback, but you couldn't finish it. You just, too little, too late type thing. But that's really all for today. Just an insane day in SEC hoops, an insane Wednesday. You don't get too many of these, so you got to cherish them as you can. Great day of SEC basketball and baseball. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to stay up to date for all college basketball, baseball, football content, all that jazz. We are doing it all here on the Random SEC. Thank you so much for watching, and see you later.